Welcome everyone to the 9th annual Hamptons Take Two Documentary Film Festival to our gala, which is always a very special evening. I'm Jackie LaFaro, founder of the festival 9 years ago, and it's grown. Thank you. Thank you very much. But it's all of you, the audience, that make it possible. And it's all of the wonderful filmmakers who we have in this audience that really makes it a documentary film festival. You work for years, you raise money, you go back into production. If you're anyone like Alex Gibney, who we're honoring tonight, 28 films in 11 years, I don't know how he does it. But we are really pleased to have you. And I just quickly want to thank my team, volunteers who make this all doable. I want to thank the Bridgehampton National Bank and Brown Harris Stevens for their continuing financial support, because without them, it just wouldn't really happen. So thank you. So I want to, before we get going with the program, introduce Ron Simon, who is the curator of television and radio at the Paley Center for Media. Ron is on our advisory board, one of many. They're in the program and you can read about them. Ron is now also a filmmaker. He just completed a new documentary on the history of Pulitzer. It debuted at Doc NYC, so maybe we'll have it in the festival soon. So if you have your cell phones turned off, that's great. And I give you now Ron Simon. Thank you. Enjoy the film.
Thank you so much, Jackie. It's a pleasure to work with you and Karen on this great festival. It's so beautifully curated, and there's so many great films to see over 4 days. As we ponder our national identity after a traumatic election, I would suggest that the filmmaker we need more than ever to study and learn from is our honoree tonight, Alex Gibney. Over the past 2 decades, Alex has probed our national psyche as well as anyone. He has illuminated the dark, dark corners of American power, while also remembering the best in our culture. As we've just seen from these haunting images, Alex Gibney is so many things in his films: a journalist, an investigator, a crusader, and an artist. But above all, he's just a tremendous storyteller, creating compelling characters who force us to think deeply about very complicated issues. No wonder Esquire magazine lauded Alex as the most important documentarian of our time. Since his breakthrough film in 2005, Enron, The Smartest Guys in the Room, about the financial misdeeds that impacted the entire nation, Alex Gibney has had one of the great careers in documentary filmmaking. As Jackie just mentioned, over an 11-year period, Alex has produced 28 films. Most documentary filmmakers, including probably most filmmakers we've seen here at the festival, take at least 3 years to make one film. It's not unusual for Alex to be working on 3 or more films at once. Not only is he a superb director, but he's also created a company, Jigsaw Productions, which sustains Alex's vision of scrupulously researched and powerfully presented films. And Alex embraces ambiguity and contradiction, so his films are much deeper and richer than any journalism that we read in the papers or on television. Think of the documentaries Alex has released just over the past 2 years: Going Clear, Scientology and the Prison of Belief, a searing study of blind faith; Frank Sinatra, All or Nothing at All, a 2-part profile of the legendary entertainer we thought we understood; Steve Jobs, The Man in the Machine, the legacy of the supposed computer genius whose life was totally re-examined by Alex; and the film we're going to see tonight, 0 Days, an unsettling expose about global cyber warfare. Yes, in 2 years, Alex has shed new light on 4 major areas of human endeavor: religion, entertainment, technology, and war. That's just a staggering accomplishment for 2 years. And it's a lifetime for many filmmakers. And I should say about the film we're about to see, 0 Days, critics have said this is the most important film of the year. In fact, one critic said every sentient person on the globe should see this film. I hope that includes politicians, too. Alex has received all the major awards for his individual films, including Academy Award for Taxi to the Dark Side, which examined torture in Afghanistan. Plus, he's won numerous Emmy Awards and Peabody Awards. Tonight, we're pleased to salute the totality of Alex's work with the Hamptons Take-Two Career Achievement Award, the Luminaire, which really shows what a life in filmmaking means. No one deserves this award now more than Alex. He has explored cinematically the most pressing issues of our time. So let's greet and meet Alex Gibney. This is the Luminaire.
I'm going to take a picture. Over there.
Alex, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thank you very much for this great honor. I'm much more comfortable speaking through my films than personally, but let me try to take a cue from my many editors and try to keep this as short as possible. To that end, I mean, the 28 films in 11 years, geez, I'm tired just thinking about that. I would add that they're not all feature-length films. And furthermore, most importantly, I would say, the phrase Alex Gibney has made, the most important thing I should probably say tonight is that Alex Gibney hasn't made those films. I mean, the reason I can do what I do is because I learned early on that the smartest thing you can do is to hire people who are smarter and more talented than you to work with you. And that ends up being much better for the film. It's the film that's the important thing. I've just had an extraordinary amount of fortune in terms of the people that I've worked with. Early on, I realized that I didn't feel that I had a particularly good eye. And I met Maryse Alberti, the magnificent French camera woman who does a lot of fiction films and a lot of magnificent documentaries. And we signed on and formed a great collaboration over many years. And she found things through her eye that, having talked with her about this or that, I never would have imagined. And that became part of an exploration process for both of us. The editors I've worked with, who are really the heroes of most of my stories, whether it be Alison Elwood or Sloane Clevin or Andy Grieve or Mikey Palmer, those are the people who, I depended on to stand up to me and to point out things that I hadn't really seen, and to insist that we take the beautiful transitions that I liked and rip them apart and put them back together again, because it was much smarter and more important in the service of the story. Only by surrounding myself with really talented people have I been able to participate in making some films that I hope have some lasting value. So, this award is very much theirs as well. One thing I would like to say in terms of the moment that we're in, it probably hasn't eluded people that we recently had a presidential election. And the president-elect, in referring to journalists at one point, used the word enemies. So that's a new low, and that takes us into Orwell territory, where truth are lies and the ministry of love is torture, and so forth and so on. And I expect things to be pretty bad. But perhaps the most important thing for us as documentarians is to consider what it means for us. I mean, it's true on the one hand that if our jobs were important 2 months ago, they're 10 times as important today. But important not because it's just our job to get the facts out. I mean, the fact is that many facts about Donald Trump were widely promulgated throughout the campaign, and yet for many people it didn't seem to matter. I heard that phrase over and over again, I don't care. So that's a problem, but I think that facts, yeah, it's funny. I mean, the fact is, in some ways, what we're experiencing now is the grandest joke of all. But the unfortunate part is that the joke is on us. Donald Punch may be the punchline, but the joke is on us. And I think that the thing for documentarians is something more important. I always found it important to think about Twitter as a doorway to links. You know, it was kind of a headline service. There was a doorway to links and deep articles that I would, you know, get deeply into, and it was like a selection service, and it was a pathway to other worlds. For Donald Trump, 140 characters is it. That's it. We boil it down to that. That's the message. Now, if we go down that road, we're finished. You know, as documentarians, we're done. I think the best documentaries, and if Donald Trump forces us down that road to say, let's fight fire with fire, his tweet will be answered by another tweet. No, we're finished then. I think that, to me, the greatest documentaries are ones which create a sacred space and immerse you. And yes, they may comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable, as the phrase goes, but I think they also take us to a deeper place that makes us wonder about who we are as human beings, and can be an empathy machine even as they assault abuses of power. And it's that sense of the importance of humanity that's so important that we preserve in the dark days ahead. And we are going to have to fight back just to have our voices heard, as he will want to extinguish them. But I think it's that apotheosis, the rising of the spirit in terms of the great cultural documentaries that we do, and also the fierceness but fundamental honesty in terms of confronting the human experience. Some people say that, you know, what I do is to make political films. I don't agree with that at all. I don't think that any of my films are political. You know, I think they reckon with moral issues. And, you know, as the great phrase by Martin Luther King goes, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. So I think if we all work hard, we can get there. Thank you all very much for this honor.